friends, loved ones, family members, cherished acquaintances, the devoted fans,
pedestrians,
regular pedestrians, bloggers joined us here. Apparently, I believe there's a few haters in the back row to make sure that it's not a scam. But we're gathered here to remember the life of a dearly departed member of our team who has, according to numerous results, there is no body. The body has not been found yet, but according to reports, Dillon Brooks is no longer with us.
Under any circumstances.
There will be no life after death. There is no resurrection of the flesh.
No kudos.
Kudos to me no more. He was a vibrant being who brought color and life everywhere he went.
Podcaster's dream.
The content that spilled over out of his abundance was used, absorbed, regurgitated. Many will debate the merits of what he has done.
Maybe one.
There were good times, there were bad times. We're not going to sweep them all under the rug. We're not going to lump them all together. We are all complex, multifaceted creatures, reflections of our Creator.
Maybe not multifaceted, come to think about it.
And as we mourn, as we move on from the promise, from the hope, from the decisions we may have made, one man we've asked to speak at this event. We are here at the graveside. And no one else should be asked to reflect on what he meant to this team, this fan base, this podcast. I now ask John Burr to say a few words.
Let me clear my throat. Oh, man. At long last. Only about 2 years too late, Keith.
This is not appropriate. This is not appropriate. This was not.
I am the dancing pallbearers meme right now. I'm at Dillon Brooks's grave, flashing deuces.
Oh, well, I believe we now have to transition to our Grizzlies funeral. It's we got a market rate. We have a group
Related.
on.
Yeah.
Please join us in the adjacent room. All heart, grit grind, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Dillon, some of us will miss you. All right, and welcome to Fastbreak Breakfast NBA Podcast. My name is Keith Parrish, here once again with my buddy through the miracle of computer phone. Here with John Burr. John, who was that crying in the funeral? It was weird. An ethereal voice from the beyond. Just weeping, sobbing.
Dillon's mama.
Yeah, Dillon's family members.
Only a mother could love, I'm afraid. And Zach Kleiman for a couple years.
John, we've lost a pillar of our podcast.
What was the one of your most beloved tweets is the Grayson Allen has been traded, you running around in the streets pumping his fists?
Yeah,
tweet?
I just spread it out the front door to the terror of my children.
What was your reaction to the Dillon Brooks news? Big sigh?
Yeah, deep sigh. I mean, writing was on the wall. I think everyone knew he was basically gone.
We've been here before, though.
I had turned to the page in my fandom, I was like, you got to do something else. I was basically saying like, hey, let's just play John Contra and see what happens. At this point, let's just see what happens. I can't handle this anymore. So I did think it was interesting, the concept of like, man, what if he tanked his value so much? And if he's like, yeah, dude, I'll play, let's do 2 years, 15 mil, come off the bench. I'm like, well, he's a player. But they said no, not under any circumstances. Again, to be clear, that's Shams Charania's quote.
Right.
No one from the Grizzlies is on the record of saying anything. Just Shams newsbreaker leaked that they wouldn't have him back, quote, under any circumstances, end quote. But no, I think it was more, I was like, all right, yeah, I guess that makes sense. You, John, you did the sprint in the street. The national nightmare is over. Because I had numerous Grizzlies fans, and I'm sure you did as well, who were ecstatic.
Yeah, I would say after this series, I mean, I don't know any I can't find any defenders anymore.
Well, I would still, I guess I would qualify as a bit of a defender, despite the fact that I was ready to move on. Like, we can't pretend like I do not believe he was negative to the squad over the last 2 years. Like, I don't believe in this. We would have been better without him. I don't believe that at all. Like, they were the 2 seed for 2 consecutive years, playing a lot of minutes. So like, he's not a negative player, but his impact on the team in this postseason, I think on court plus off court, it passed the threshold of like, no, you're taking more off than you're putting on.
I think there is now more evidence to support than ever.
Yeah.
My initial thesis of he is the type of guy who makes your team worse in almost every conceivable way.
Yeah. I mean, I think it has borne out. I can't get there with David Roddy, Tyus Jones, and Zaire Williams all shooting worse than him in the playoff series. So it's like,
I don't think David Roddy, Tyus Jones, or anyone of that ilk is also going to create perhaps create a culture and constantly bring attention to themselves that has been so devastating to the team. To the point where I would consider, I'm too close to the Grizzlies to know this, but I think talking to fans of other teams, he is the laughingstock of the league, and by proxy, we are the laughingstock of the league.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. that's a huge part of it.
I think without Dillon Brooks, most of this stuff probably, there's still the Ja Morant stuff that's hard to parse through.
Yeah.
But also, I think Dillon Brooks is kind of emblematic of, and I know there's a lot of people are trying to say this is scapegoating.
Yeah.
How is it scapegoating? Is no one to be held accountable? Someone has to be held accountable. Would people like more people to be held accountable? Ja Morant was suspended during the course of this year.
Yep.
It appears to me that Zach Kleiman regrets everything he did last year.
Yeah.
Which is refreshing because our
Can you imagine? I texted
kind of ruined.
John, we were texting about this. Can you imagine if it was back in the day where Chris Wallace acknowledged nothing? Where the
just
former
meat sauce dripping
the former Grizzlies GM, if this would have happened under his watch, like, oh well,
I think David played good this year. Garlic bread breath.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of regret.
I as a podcaster, quote unquote content creator, Dillon was a absolute joy to watch, and I thought he was funny, and I don't think he's a bad guy, even though he's done some things that are questionable on the court. I think a lot of it's, kind of a perception is reality type thing. But as a basketball fan and as someone who wants the Grizzlies to be good, I felt incredible relief.
Yeah.
As if a giant weight has been lifted. And I didn't feel joy, just unbelievable relief. And not one, not two, but multiple people. I think you just referenced it, sent me the same text. Our long national nightmare is over. It was an absolute reign of terror. complete with acolytes and propaganda. It's almost as if we had a dictator's presence over us for a few years, where a small, ultimately powerless man somehow rose to power and wielded great power over people for a while.
Yeah.
And then it's like after 4 years, he still almost, if it's not for that playoff series, if it's not for that insurrection, he almost probably signs another reign of terror contract. What I'm saying is Dillon Brooks is very similar to Donald Trump, and that's what I feel I experienced.
I think what's maybe most interesting about like what caused this to end is it now becoming obvious or apparent that Dillon does not want to be a 3-and-D player and does not view himself as a 3-and-D player.
It's
and he's excusing his terrible.
Very strange to me that anyone ever didn't know this, because he has been saying it the entire year.
Yeah.
That he did not like his new role. And anytime he was asked about anything that was bad with the Grizzlies, he would point to his new role and how it wasn't his fault and it didn't matter to him.
Yeah.
And people would be like, I heard people say like he's embracing his new role. I'm like, that's not what he said, dude. Not what he said.
I had the wool over my eyes as an acolyte, where I was like, he's just very confident. He feels no pressure.
No, and it's I know exactly the quote you're talking about.
Yeah.
That is not what he was saying.
He said, and now it's like, oh, this dude has been.
You got Kaiser Soze.
Yeah. This guy has been chafing at the bit or whatever, forever, being like, no. There's no pressure on me, because the read between the lines, which I wasn't seeing, was no pressure on me because it's not my fault if anything goes wrong, because I'm not the guy with the ball in my hands. I'm just going to stand here and shoot. But it is funny, if he had embraced it, if he had been just like, I'm Jay Crowder shooting 38% for the season, what Dillon shot like 39 or something. But like if he just shot like I shoot 11 times a game, I don't make very many. I think again, he has a role on an NBA team, but finding out he's like, I need the ball in my hands. They should have run plays for me. I want X amount per year. The team's like, yeah, well, he can't accept this role. I mean, he did. Technically, he accepted the role on the court where he didn't shoot that much when all the guys were healthy, but he never embraced it and said, this is my role on a good championship level NBA team.
Right. And, it's almost kind of absurd to talk about the smaller aspects of this when the macro is so clear.
yeah, that's fair.
And that's been I guess kind of the most frustrating thing. And I know that when you get close to a team, you get so into the minutia and the details. Like my favorite players were guys like Kyle Anderson, and and I love getting behind players who I know suck. Like I get very excited about Santi Aldama, who sucks. But you can't let it clutter your head to the point where you're like, I got to keep this guy forever, especially when, Dillon, I mean, we're going to get to it later in the show, but he's cost himself millions of dollars.
So many millions. Many millions. It once again goes back to who's advising this guy? What is he seeing? Why won't he just, I don't know.
It's funny because we talk about this all the time. Like we were like, has Ja Morant cost himself millions of dollars? And he didn't make those all NBA teams, right? So perhaps.
Well, he's not going to. We assume.
I had to pay people to go find his shoe for me because it was so hard to find the day it came out. So Ja's still resonating with people, on a large level. He's still the most searched guy on social media, which is really all people care about anymore. Well, he's behind Steph Curry, but those numbers are juiced by Silicon Valley. But so I maybe Dillon is creating a lot. I feel like he was maybe trying to create a larger brand for himself, and it perhaps backfired.
He's raised his Q rating has gone up,
and then shut LeBron down, or even just not gotten kicked out and us be humiliated by 40. He probably raises his Q rating.
Or if the Grizzlies win, I mean, maybe that's the wildest. That's the longest shot of bets. I'm going to bring all this attention upon myself, but if we win.
The funny part is, to me, it's just still all connected to last offseason and how dramatically effed up it was.
Well, I think about, as a Grizzlies fan, I think more about the last 4 seasons, where over the past 4 seasons, they were like, no, we have our small forward. It's Dillon Brooks. And everything was always like, no matter who was on the roster, it was like, well, one thing we know for sure, written in pen, Dillon Brooks is our starting. And like, everyone was like, well, what if he was a 6th man? Because he likes to shoot the ball a lot. They're like, no, we have our guy. We need someone to guard the best players on the other team. But
I do love that. I think in the history of this podcast, I have never won an argument until this moment. And boy, did I win this argument.
Yeah, you won this big one. The scapegoating thing, I think it is like, again, we don't know how this leak came to be. It doesn't make
it has to be from his camp, because it murders the Grizzlies' abilities
from other players' camps. You know, like if the other players are like,
Draymond.
Dylan's gone.
Dun, dun.
Draymond hasn't weighed in yet, and I feel like he should. I feel not complete. Maybe that was him crying, doing the fake crying in the funeral. I don't know.
I thought LeBron, I have another apology, because I thought LeBron was going to stay classy, but he started dropping rap lyrics, calling us biatches. And
No, LeBron saved his trash talk until it was over.
Yes, he did.
He waited until the scoreboard was set and then did his trash talking. No, the scapegoating thing, like, if they are going to say like, hey, we're fixing our culture, and, you know, like, it's a weird 180 of like, Dillon being part of the fun culture, and Dillon leading all the pregame dances, and Dillon being a mentor to the rookies. And of course, Ja Morant stuff is more serious. Yeah. Like, Dillon never did anything like that. Like, he never got in any kind of legal issues.
And to be clear, you know, I loved all that stuff. It's purely
basketball for you.
Basketball related. And I mean, you know, even the talking, like, whatever.
Right.
You know, the on-court play and who we were with Dillon on court, and you can point to the backups as much as you want. I will counter with, we put in a crappy 3-point shooter in Dillon's stead, and that's the best we looked. I know it was, you know, 27 possessions or whatever, but when we had Kennard out there instead of Dillon,
I'm sorry, are you calling Kennard a crappy 3-point shooter?
I mean crappy player who is a good 3-point shooter.
Okay, I mean, you've already enlisted. I know people are going to be behind you dancing on Dillon's grave. You've already insulted Santi Aldama and Luke Kennard, 2 of the most universally their approval ratings are sky high on the Grizzlies,
because Santi had 16 points in a 40-point loss.
No, because Santi dunks the ball backwards constantly. That's the reason we love Santi.
Santi is so close to doing the Arvydas Sabonis dunk, which is my favorite dunk in the history of in-game dunks, where you glide to the left of the goal and you just quickly reverse jam it, like almost sultrily. And Santi's so close to it. If he starts doing that, he can not guard anyone for the rest of his career.
All right. Before you turn off any other Grizzlies listeners, let's get to our breakfast. John, what breakfast have you had on this? I mean, we're Grizzlies season over plus 3 days now. Like, what have you been doing? We're 3 days into the off season for the Memphis Grizzlies. What
have been
breakfast
some changes in the off season?
Yeah. What is it?
In light of like sundry health scares within my family and friend group.
Yep.
The days of the family restaurant are behind me.
You're shutting it down?
Shutting it down, at least for an off season, at least for some sort of
cleanse.
I've been going to Wildberry, acai bowl place for the breakfast.
Oh, you're going health, man.
And it's for like $17. You get this bowl of goop covered in granola, but it's pretty refreshing.
Oh, it is refreshing. Making you feel a little bit better?
I feel pretty good. I get super hungry later in the day. Strangely, I don't like the ones that have like chocolate and stuff in it. The purer, if I'm going for the trying to feel healthy, I almost want the masochistic, like Gorp-like feel to it.
So
Drizzle of honey's the most.
When you stop going to a diner every day, or if you cut out the donut shop from your life? Do you feel like an NBA owner when the pandemic hit, where you're like, I got to keep paying these guys for a little bit, all these arena workers? Like, just the diner, you're like, listen, I'm worried you're gonna be hurting without my business. Maybe I'll give you a little something to wean you guys off your dependence on my patronage.
I'm still going probably once a month at least. And I will say that on my last time I went, when I made the decision, I left a crisp $100 tip.
There you go.
Like a psychopath.
I'll see you guys later. Like an absolute psychopath.
See you on down the road.
So my breakfast, we've dealt in the past few days with the little elementary school stomach bug, as the kids have been missing cool. I mean, honestly, it's raging through the nation. I think, but so the daughter was home on Tuesday, but it was so early in the morning. We're like, you're 24 hours clear. You're going to school on Wednesday. Well, in our household, basically since the pandemic, we have a little tradition called Pop-Tart Wednesday, and the Pop-Tarts they have are the most vile extreme of the sugar end, like birthday cake Pop-Tart, and they're covered in like cookie crumbles, and it's outrageous. And I have a sweet tooth, of course, but even to me, it kind of turns my stomach to look at. I don't even like them. Like they're too much. But the kid, was throwing up yesterday morning and into the night, the previous night. So like she hadn't had any solid food on Tuesday, basically. She wakes up Wednesday and they're like, it's Pop-Tart Wednesday. And I'm like, guys, we're not doing Pop-Tart Wednesday today. We're going to do like Thursday night football on Friday night. We're doing Pop-Tart Wednesday on Thursday. We're going to give our bodies a break.
Yeah.
They did not handle it well.
Yeah.
The 5-year-old losing her mind. And in her defense, she hasn't really eaten food in 24 hours. And she just woke up and wanted a Pop-Tart. And I'm like, listen, I'm sorry. And also I already feel like I have to stop shoveling garbage into these kids. Like at some point. I was about
to ask, I guess I'm not going to be able to ask you, because my kid has chocolate every single day. Is that bad?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like they have so much sugar already, and I'm getting really self-conscious about like, I can't, this is so bad.
Yeah.
And so I
am a great big fat person, but I didn't start eating like a great big fat person until I left my parents' home.
Yeah.
So is my child doomed because her parents?
So I don't know if it's correct. And we've talked about this before. When I was a child, it was like grape nuts, plain Cheerios, or plain Rice Krispies. Those are your options. And it was like store brand grape nuts, store brand Rice Krispies, store brand Cheerios. There was no sugar for breakfast. There was no soda. We had soda. I gotta have one Coke every Saturday for lunch.
I feel like sodas are gone though, right? For kids, nobody lets their kids drink soda, right?
Well, so first of all, kids drink just nonstop sugar garbage. Everyone that I see, maybe it's just the little clan I live in Middle Tennessee. It's nonstop juice drinks, sugar drinks, Gatorades, sodas. Although I did tell my son, he was like, "What's Mountain Dew?" Actually, he said what's MT and Dew?
You said redneck pride.
I said MT and Dew. It's called Mountain Dew, and it's not for kids.
Rocket fuel.
Yeah,
it isn't for kids, man. It's for cold trickle and real men.
Yeah. But anyways, I want to be done with Pop-Tart Wednesday, period. But yeah, we had a total meltdown in the household this morning. As I tried to, again, and now I'm debating, like, we went through that. What if we just cold turkey to be like, we're going hardcore health food every morning? The problem is my wife, who works in medicine, whose father's a dentist, not on board with me. She doesn't want to fight the fight. She's more like, whatever. If it makes mornings easier, just load them with sugar. So I don't know. I like, do I care enough on my own to fight this battle by myself? Do I want to defend Dillon Brooks against all the hordes like Jon Snow in the battle of whatever? Do I want to stand alone and fight this fight?
My girlfriend, who eats nothing but like chicken breast and stone soup and like runs triathlons, is just like, give the child the Hershey kiss to make her shut up now.
That's the balance. So just like in everything, there's a balance. It's not black and white. It's not clear cut. Did Dillon Brooks definitely hurt your team always? I don't know. It's not sure. Should you give your child sugar? Well, sure. In a vacuum, no. But do you want to get through your day? Do you want to be able to get through your day without everyone throwing fits constantly and being upset? So a little sugar there. John, does your partner keep you around just because it makes her feel healthier?
I mean, that's a great question. And I need, but we're gonna have to get deeper into the definition of keep me around, because we have just mastered the ships passing in the night lifestyle.
Oh, yes.
Like, she arrived from a plane. She flew in last night.
Yeah.
Did not see her. And then I just heard her. I hope it didn't show up on the podcast. The garage door go up. She is now gone.
You're just trading off the baton.
Yeah. I took the kid to school. She will pick the kid up. I will come home just as bedtime happens. I mean,
do you guys have, you know how a lot of families have those like sign up boards for chores, and you guys just have no, I'm saying, but yours is just a sign up board for who will be the parent.
Yes.
It's just trading off. Like, listen, I'm parenting for the next 8 hours and then handing that off. Anyways, those
it really does feel like it is. And then, like, it's strange because then when the weekend comes and we parent together, to me, that's when it breaks down. Because the child already sees the inefficiencies between the two parents.
Yep.
And can exploit them.
We've gone long without getting into the playoffs beyond Dillon Brooks. But I will say, also our experience, single parent behavior for our kids, much better than dual parent behavior. Like,
absolutely.
Way more well-behaved when there's just one of us. Anyway, so those were our breakfasts. After
divide and conquer,
we move to our breakfast in bed apologies. This is our opportunity to make right what we might have gotten wrong in a previous episode. John, you were not wrong about Dillon Brooks. Is there something else you were wrong about, which you would like to correct?
Everything else.
Everything else.
Dubs seem good. Lakers seem good.
The Dubs are great. The Lakers are great.
Cavs were awful.
I think I feel like a majority of people were misled by the Cavaliers.
I'm just having one of these moments, where I don't want to go into it too much because we've covered it on previous podcasts, where, like, as a NBA obsessive, I ascribe too much value to the regular season.
Right.
And I know you have never fallen into that pitfall. But it's hard for me to invest so much time into it and not believe what I'm seeing a little bit.
Yeah.
And I will not make that mistake again.
I mean, I will say,
because actually the Dubs thing makes perfect sense if you put more thought into it. Why wouldn't you play better at home if you're not trying?
Yeah. The Warriors thing, like, I thought the Warriors, I mean,
no one's looking on
this.
This
is not my kudos to me, but like, I picked Warriors Nuggets in the conference finals because, like, those teams, they got the best players, and I don't trust. Maybe the Suns are the exception to this rule, where it's like every other series, it's like, well, of course, why wouldn't the team with the all-time Hall of Fame greats dominate the other team? Like, that isn't why wouldn't they do that? Maybe the Suns are the exception. They needed a little more time. Although their series, of course, is not over. But one thing I've been wrong about.
That you said Nuggets, though, because I don't feel like the Nuggets have the best players. I do think, and we'll get to this later, I think they have the best player, and maybe that's worth enough.
One thing where I've been wrong the last 2 years, where I too heavily valued the regular season, was, again, with my own team, where I was I think I was more optimistic.
And that's so funny because both of us knew the Grizzlies were bad.
Yeah, we knew they were not great, but even then, I'm still like, these are the things we do well. I think we'll be fine. And this is like the game one against the Lakers. I was like, nope.
Oh,
like, not.
It was funny because people would be like, because I think some mainstream guy said that the Lakers have the two best players in the series, and all the Grizzlies fans I knew were like, whoa, 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 and I was like, oh no, that's right.
Oh yeah,
they do.
Yeah. Here's my apology. Not related to a prediction, an actual factual error. My favorite sort of apologies. I said
mine were factual errors.
I said yours were incorrect analysis. I consider that a different category. That's a sin, not of commission, of omission. A little bit different.
I don't know. After seeing the Lakers tear through us, and then the Warriors had a very good game one. The Lakers like, no, we'll still just win.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Lakers. Are we ready for this? Talking about turning off our listenership. Yeah. The Lakers, this is the grit and grind Lakers.
Oh, yeah.
They are grit and grind. They are winning. They got outscored from the 3-point line by 45 points.
No, dude. If you look at the box score and then you look at the final score, you're like, I don't.
That's the 6th highest differential for 3-pointers in postseason history. The Lakers won.
Also, I just watched Kevin Looney look like Bill Walton against the Kings, and then he did this to us as the Grizzlies last year.
In game
and
one,
then it's just like Anthony Davis is like, I don't care about.
Well, in game one of Warriors Lakers, like Kevon Looney was still doing some stuff, although they went away from him.
I really like Kevon Looney.
Anytime they turn away from Kevon Looney, I'm always like, what are you doing? But
I think of him as a better Steven Adams. Is that?
No, he's not. Well, that's what I was about to say. Yeah. I got to get off my Grizzlies focus, but watching Kevon Looney do some stuff where like Anthony Davis would come over to block a shot and Looney was just eating on the glass and Wiggins was eating on the offensive glass. I'm like, that's what Steven Adams would have done. So here's my factual error. I got to make my apology. I threw out a few stats that were wrong last episode. I said that the Miami Heat were the first team ever in the playoffs to have 4 straight games where they attempted at least 25 3-pointers and made 40% of them or more. When I said it on the show, I acknowledged that sounds wrong.
It does sound wrong.
They are, in fact, the
like 94th.
No, the 7th team to do so. So I mean, the general gist was this is a team shooting very well from the 3-point line that does not do a good job. But that fact was, in fact, absolutely incorrect, and for that, I apologize. Before we move on to our steak and eggs best thing, just a little bit of a word from our sponsor, our dearly departed, the Memphis Grizzlies. Download the brand new official Grind City Media mobile app. Explore new ways to access your favorite Grind City Media content from your favorite shows and series like this one and like Grits and Grinds, a Grizzlies podcast. Plus, you can get news and entertainment. Stay connected with exclusive content at your fingertips with the new Grind City Media mobile app available in both the Apple and Google Play stores. All right, steak and eggs, best thing, John. Where do you want to steer this ship to? What's your best thing from the last week beyond your least favorite Grizzly being let go?
So the obvious would be the Nuggets steering the ship for me, but the less obvious.
Yep. We like those.
I kind of can't lose with this Heat Knicks series. Like there is no outcome other than like if Jimmy Butler ends up missing the rest of the games, which I know he's not going to because he's superhuman, but there's no outcome where I don't kind of enjoy the story that's happening, because it's a who benefits thing. If the Knicks, or actually for me, it's never who benefits. It's who very specifically does not benefit. And the answer is Mark Cuban. Does not benefit. It's just like I really enjoy the games at the Garden. I really enjoy the whole Jimmy Butler, Eric Spoelstra next level, competitor at their respective positions. I enjoy that aspect of it. And then like all the injury stuff is kind of compelling, like Randall limping back in and getting back to triple doubles on the playoff scale against a good defense. I could have apologized to him, I reckon. And then the Heat playing so well without Jimmy, I think was kind of shocking and amazing.
What is going on with the Heat? We've always given them credit to just being able to find guys.
Yeah.
But it's gone beyond the pale for me.
yeah, it's really
like
insane.
Caleb Martin's a good player. We knew Caleb Martin was fine. We even identified, I think a lot of people did, when he signed his contract. I want to say he made like $8 million a year, and it was like everyone's like, that's great value to get a guy like that who can just flat out help you. That's good value. But beyond that, we're talking Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, Duncan Robinson, Haywood Highsmith,
Duncan Robinson just back.
Caleb Martin, Kevin Love, all those guys playing awesome. I mean, I still can't get over the Cavaliers just like.
Chuck texts me about Kevin Love more than anything else he's ever texted me about.
I mean, Kevin Love is playing. I mean, he didn't shoot well in game 2, but like the fact that the Knicks kind of messed around and barely won the game without Jimmy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm amazed at what the Heat do. Eric Spoelstra, I guess you got to give him a lot of credit for just being able to coach it up against anybody.
I think he's been awesome.
Yeah, like he's like, I don't care who my guys are. We can just go win this. And like Kyle Lowry is all of a sudden
that's the fly in my ointment.
Well, he's not
Big
enjoying
booty Kyle.
Right. Yeah, but he's playing well.
He always plays well. He's awesome. I just hate his guts.
Hey, he and Dillon Brooks have the longest streak of playoff games with at least 10 field goal attempts and shooting under 40%. Kyle Lowry used to be a playoff disaster for multiple years.
For the Raptors for forever. Yeah. But I mean, I feel like on the Heat he's been an X factor, and he's also like he's going to draw those annoying crucial charges at annoying crucial moments.
Yeah. And also sometimes they'll be correctly or incorrectly called blocks, but challenged, and are incorrectly called charges, challenged, turned into blocks. Thankfully, how do the refs keep missing this? Why isn't there default? You have to blow me away.
It has so much to do with who's taking it that it's just become patently absurd.
I don't understand, and maybe they're not enforcing the rule as written.
If they see a player known for intelligence doing it, they call it a charge. I just
can't get over how you have these massive collisions. Every time I see these replays, I'm like, wait, there's the upward shooting motion. On a drive to the bucket, the upward shooting motion begins after the gather. On jumping plays, I believe it's once you put two hands on the ball, and these guys are almost never set. They're almost never there. I don't know why the tie isn't always like, if I'm not sure, calling it a block. I don't know why they don't do it. But anyways.
So I don't know what your best is.
Yeah.
If it doesn't have anything to do with De'Anthony Melton, then I need a second best.
I didn't want to jinx it.
Okay.
I didn't want to go on the, oh, hey, look who has a higher 3-point percentage in the playoffs than Dillon Brooks and Tyus Jones now. Look at De'Anthony Melton made 8 of his last 9 3-pointers in the playoffs.
De'Anthony had big playoff games for us too. People will point to his overall numbers not being that good, but if you're looking for that microwave defensive stopper, maybe try De'Anthony Melton instead of Dillon Brooks.
They never did. I am enjoying. I mean, first of all, there's a lot of storylines that have been really fun. This Heat run is just incredible, and
it really is.
What Jimmy Butler is doing.
It is the story, right?
I don't know, man. Like, there's so many stories right now. I think the joke that everyone makes, like all these stories have been so good in the playoffs. Can they keep it up with the writer strike going on? I don't know. But Jimmy Butler, amazing. The Heat, amazing. Maybe a flip side of that is like the Bucks collapse. That was maybe that was in my running for my worst. The Bucks were up, 15?
Yeah.
Going into the fourth quarter in Game 5, they were up 16, I think,
blew
with
2 huge leads.
The end of the third quarter in Game 4, just unbelievable collapses. And but Jimmy Butler being the guy, just like he's that guy, and then him twisting his ankle, sitting out Game 2, and the Heat still hanging in there. Like that story's amazing. But
Sixers, that's happening too. Embiid
that's the other thing I'm going to go to. Like
Harden. Also, that's another game, like similar to the Warriors game. I can't believe the Celtics. There was a point when I looked up, and the Celtics had made like 15 of 16 of their first shots.
Yeah, I believe the stat is they made 13 of their first 14 field goal attempts, and I believe this stat is accurate. If it is not,
has a team ever lost?
Yeah, they are. That is the highest. The Celtics had the highest effective field goal percentage in a loss in postseason history.
I mean, how did they lose? Yeah,
and you had is the Sixers winning Game 1 with the strong play of Paul Reed playing for MVP Joel Embiid? You had Paul Reed in there and De'Anthony Melton showing up huge. Is this the greatest moment for NBA podcasters in NBA history?
Yes, no kidding.
Like just beloved podcast guys, like not just our podcast. People love Melton nationally on their podcasts, and then like Paul Reed has the backing of all the extreme Sixers podcasts. And like those guys came through. And by the way, playoff James Harden, no problem. 45 points. Absolute incredible. And also
a dagger.
We make jokes about playoff Doc Rivers. This entire season, regular season and postseason, the Sixers rally. The Sixers are that, like, they feel like back in the day, you could be up on Kobe Bryant, but in the last 10 minutes, or up on Michael Jordan, but in the last 5 minutes of the game, you're like, oh, this is why they're the best team. They came back and won. Like the Warriors do the same way. The Sixers are rallying and coming back constantly this year in the final 5 minutes of the games, where it used to be, I feel like they would blow those leads. Now they're the ones taking those leads away. So that's a great story.
You would think us legions of dorks would take our cues from Daryl Morey when Daryl Morey goes and gets Doc Rivers, like first order of business, that we would realize that there must be something there, but nah, it's too funny.
Here's of all those storylines, I guess if I am going to pick one best thing, I think I'm still going to go with Steph's Game 7 against the Kings. Yeah, I was rooting for the Kings, but then when Steph started happening, it like brought me back to a sweeter time.
You were caping, you were masquerading.
I was transformed into like years ago before bitterness had really encroached on my love of certain parts of basketball. When Steph is on, it's transformative.
Man.
It's beautiful. And
to
see him
to ever do it,
have his best playoff scoring performance and have it the highest Game 7 scoring performance in NBA history, like him going for 50 points.
He broke the will of the other team.
Also Kevon Looney and Andrew Wiggins broke the will of that team with the third quarter offensive rebounds. But it was just one of those things where it's like throughout my entire basketball life, it's always been the more legendary player comes through. And if it's a Game 7 on the road, all right, this, I'm sure there's exceptions, but like, this is where I'm like, oh, the Pacers are going to knock out the Bulls this time.
I just felt like you were kind of shortchanging your 2000s Pistons so much there.
What do you mean?
They did not have the legendary player coming through. They were just the better team.
That's true, but I don't consider the like maybe that wasn't peak of powers. Maybe that is the exception where like, Kobe and Shaq, that type of thing. But so maybe that is like one of the only exceptions where you do get surprised in these series. But like,
as much as I dislike the Warriors, so and I'm still rooting for them the least of any team, I agree. I can never truly hate Steph Curry because he just has, because Klay Thompson, great shooter, sure, but he doesn't dribble in circles for 16 seconds before somehow getting off a miracle shot. These two are not the same, even though they're the Splash Bros. They're not the same type of player, really.
No.
He's just, he'll always be, one of the most fun players to watch of all time, and I'm certain go down as one of the 5 or 10 best players to ever do it. So
and maybe part of my best thing also with that, which ties back to like the hurt of my own team getting eliminated, is after this big win, I like to see the other team in pain. Also, the Lakers are still going. The Lakers like, oh yeah, they're pretty good. Okay. I like the grit and grind Lakers, banging on the Warriors.
That is going to be a good series. I think this, correct me if I'm wrong, Kings taking the Warriors to 7, even though they lost. Good season.
Oh, of course, good season.
Like,
it's hard when it's
no regrets, like
yeah.
that team seems transformed and moving in a good direction. And I could see players wanting to be a part of, what they're doing. And like, it just feels like a complete turnaround. And even though that's such a crushing way to lose, to lose the 2 in a row, or the 3 in a row, to force a Game 7 and to have that collapse in the second half. The fact that Steph hung it on him, and the story, it's a different story than like Grizzlies just throwing in the towel for some reason. I guess because it happened in a Game 7, it makes it better, but I don't have the same feelings. And it might just be because it's their first playoff appearance in so long, but I don't know. I feel like they didn't get any stink on them.
It's an unlucky draw. Everyone knew it was an unlucky draw to end up with the defending champs, in the first round. And they performed honorably. They fought valiantly. Really great series. Let's switch over from our best things to our worst things. The cream of wheat worst thing. What's the worst thing you saw in the last week, John?
Well, since you wouldn't let it be my best, I'll make it my worst. De'Anthony Melton draining 5 for 5 threes on the day Dillon Brooks is thrown into the sun.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal. It's pretty brutal.
But I'll stay with the Sixers a little bit. Huge. I have a Joel Embiid jersey within my grasp. I'm rooting for the Sixers really hard. I think the MVP campaign has been farcical.
Yeah. My problem with it, and I've said this before, the man won in a landslide.
Yeah, it's insane.
And one of the tightest what should have been one of the tightest MVP races ever.
Yeah.
They were all virtually even.
And let me clarify.
I want to say Embiid, a very good,
awesome season.
Very good MVP winner.
The campaign and the way it went down and the way that he caped for it and the way that people surrounding him and the surrounding media caped for it, farcical.
A very just and deserved MVP award for Joel Embiid. Yeah. Winning in a landslide makes no sense. It just further illustrates the groupthink,
absolutely,
the fear of online backlash.
Yep.
I don't know how you fix it.
The big city BS. Like, this doesn't happen if Joel Embiid plays for a small market. Like this.
I actually disagree with you there.
Really?
I think it's all about like whatever ESPN drives the conversation. I mean, the NBA's own website has an MVP ladder that starts on the first night of games. Yeah. And they're like, on April 6th, we're talking like a week from the end of the season, like Embiid has a big game and they're like, Joel Embiid pulls ahead in the MVP conversation. It's like, what in the world are we doing? I honestly think going back to like, it's a secret ballot. Also, whoever gets the vote
shouldn't even be able to talk about it.
Yeah. You shouldn't be
put a moratorium on
like
it.
If you
shut down NBA media entirely.
If you reveal who you voted for, you lose your franchise.
That's right. Yes.
No, I don't know. It should have been a close vote. And it should have been split regionally. Like whoever you watch more of, that's who you pick. But the fact that it was like a runaway, it doesn't make any sense. Like what are we doing here? Here's my worst thing. And then I could say maybe Budenholzer.
Budenholzer.
I mean, yes, Giannis was hurt. He missed some games in that series. Like you're telling me Chris Middleton's going to play great. Grayson Allen's going to hit his threes and they're going to lose in 5, like losing 5 as the 1 seed. But yeah, that was pretty bad. I guess I'm going to try to be sympathetic to our guy, Chris Paul. My worst thing, the annual Chris Paul groin. It's just like a little alarm and his groin goes off and his body knows it's playoff time. I can't do it anymore. That's just rough, man. This team is they're so shallow. Like they were already playing Durant and Booker 45 minutes a night. Now what, you got to campaign and Landry Shamet to save us? That's tough. It's just a bad break. I mean, am I closing the book too early on the Suns, John? I mean, series doesn't start till they
yeah, of course.
Yeah, okay.
But you couldn't ask for a better recipe for Nugget success though, so you have to lean into it, right?
Have you seen, I haven't, this is up on my next to listen to. Speaking of the Suns, you got their owner, Matt Ishiba, talking about his like plans to
he's doing the podcast rounds. I think he's on the PS report this week.
Yeah. First of all, he caught out Dan Gilbert, which is awesome. That's a way to listen. If you want to be a liked billionaire in my book, call out some of the ones I like less. Also, the Suns are doing the thing where they're going to own their broadcast rights and they're going to air the games for free over the air. That is the kind of the caveat asterisk. Like, dear listener, do you know how to get over the air broadcasts in your home? Because it's not that easy. And they are going to have their own streaming service that you pay for. But this idea of teams being in charge of distributing their games, maybe it's a good model. The idea of just the more people that see our games, the better. And you're not dependent on the money from the regional sports networks. So I think that's interesting for the Suns. But I guess none of that really makes you feel better if you're a Suns fan about the situation you're in right now, down 2-0 without Chris Paul for at least a week. But here's another worst thing, John. This is grits and grinds. You
also got to remember Nuggets home and away is different beasts.
That's right. Nuggets 5-0 at home this postseason. Jaren Jackson Jr. had 6 straight games where he shot under 33%, and he attempted at least 12 field goal attempts. He's the first guy since Bob Cousy in 1960 to have 6 straight road playoff games where he attempted at least 12 field goal attempts.
Bob Cousy probably had 1,000 free throws made.
33%. Hey, Jaren shot 81% in those from the line in those games.
Okay, I stand corrected.
Anyways, here we go. Let's take a couple listener submitted questions. Those were our worst things. Up next, the croissant questioner.
Caleb, leader of our Dildos Anonymous support group, McNeese asks, since Magnus coined Thunderbulls and Heat Wolves, what other mascot combos would make great MTG or D&D creatures?
Can you walk us through there? We got some Dungeons and Dragons and Magic beasts.
Kind of fantastical here? Lord of the Rings, Tolkien-esque creatures. I don't think you can talk about Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons and look, I'm a card-carrying member, as it were, without making the... I'm going to combine the Brooklyn Nets and the Boston Celtics into the Boston Incels. That'll be my first one. But now that we've gotten rid of that, it's time to get into the nitty-gritty and get into some mythical creatures. I think you could combine any team that starts with an M with the Spurs, like you could do with the Magic or the Mavs with the Spurs, and make some MERS.
Well, so you're aligning these words together, just as opposed to
portmanteauing.
You're doing portmanteauing as opposed to just making a compound word. Like I think Sunhawks works great.
That's probably better. Okay, that's pretty good. What about a like you could do some stuff with Magic Cavaliers. The Magic really get nuts. Like anything with Magic. Anything with Wizard works.
Anything Thunder thrown on there.
Thunder Wizard is pretty amazing.
The Thunder Wizard is incredible.
Sun Wizard is pretty good.
What about the Rocket Raptors? You sick a bunch of Rocket Raptors on somebody?
Okay, that's pretty good.
All right. I had to win you over on that one.
No. I mean, as soon as you stick them upon me, I kind of got it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Trail Hornets, is that
Trail Wizards is kind of fun.
Warrior Kings
is great. I was thinking Blazer Warriors. I don't know if that works.
Spurbuck sounds like a lead character.
Oh, Spurbucks is great.
Yeah.
What about
you don't want to encounter any Jizzlies in a darkened cave.
No, not at all. Not at all. What about like we got to do some kind of like maybe I guess it is just corny doing the Magic. I was like the Magic Pelicans. That sounds fun. Is there a more ominous sounding?
I know we're making jokes, but I could see myself playing a card called Pelican Wizard.
Pelican Wizard is great. Grizzlies? A Bull Grizzly?
Almost seems redundant, but maybe not.
Yeah.
We have another question though.
Okay, what is
a listener at Roy Ira submits where does Dillon Brooks fit?
Where does Dillon Brooks sign, John?
I have long said that he fits in great on any bad team because he makes any team he joins instantly bad. So we have seen where Dillon Brooks fits in best for Dillon and for that team, and that's a team that is in transition, a team that is at the bottom rung, a team that is just trying to get through a rebuilding phase. So maybe we start there.
I'm going to disagree, I guess. I think he's got to the idea being, could he, if he's surrounded by established Hall of Famers or a rigid organization
and is sufficiently humbled, that would have to be.
Yeah, or if there's someone like way better than him already. Like, could he back up Jimmy Butler in Heat culture?
Jimmy Butler would power bomb him on his first day of work.
Yeah. Okay.
There's just no way that could work.
What about
the second he integrated a dance circle into the first practice? Jimmy Butler would stick him in a cave and blast Nickelback on speakers until his eyes and ears bled.
If Jimmy Butler thoroughly annihilated him in practice over and over, would Dillon lose so much confidence that he became even more damaging?
Well, here's the deal. I hate to say it. I don't think Dillon has shown that kind of toughness.
Yeah.
Dillon couldn't face the media.
What about the Cavaliers?
He's going to face
the Cavaliers had to have somebody play the 3. They rode with Chetty Osman and got humiliated in the first round. I think Dillon Brooks on the Cavaliers.
Roll with Chetty Osman. You're back to the Kennard versus Butler type thing.
What about the Kings? The Kings needed a defensive stopper.
Oh my God! Stop this.
The Bucks were interested in him at the trade deadline. The Bucks.
They took Grayson Allen.
They DNP'd Jay Crowder. They get a Dillon Brooks in there to play.
This is rock bottom, Keith.
What about the Lakers?
Oh, I mean, LeBron loves to reclaim his stoppers.
I've been making this joke for at least a solid month. The Dallas Mavericks are going to sign him.
Oh my God. Perfect. No notes.
He needs to stay in division. That's a personal request.
Please.
He needs.
Jaren dropping donks on him, please.
I mean, there's a lot of teams that need like a 2-3.
Make no mistake, if Dillon Brooks plays us 6 times a year, he will stomp us.
He needs to
Those will be his good games.
What about the Raptors? He plays great against the Raptors. He's from Toronto. If he played behind,
that would be a nice story.
I mean, imagine the shooting efficiency / toughness of a Dillon Brooks, Fred VanVleet backcourt. Imagine all the offensive rebounds that would be available for Jakob Poeltl. He needs to go to a team that has elite offensive rebounders.
Pelicans.
His entire thing didn't work because Steven Adams was injured.
The Pelican.
He can put it up on the rim. He can hit the rim from anywhere.
I mean, he seems kind of like a Clipper to me.
Does seem like a Clipper. I need to find out who his agent is and what other clients his agent has. Like, if this was a Clutch situation, Clutch is going to get him on a roster.
Yeah, I mean, I do think he'll find out. You know, everyone makes the Shanghai Sharks jokes. I think he'll find a way.
Yeah.
You know.
Here's another question that got submitted. Tim from the Tree asks, is the Harrison Barnes storyline underrated with him having to play his former team again? Tim from the Tree, I'm sorry we didn't get your question back when that series was going on.
I thought it was brought up a lot.
I would say it's properly rated.
Yeah.
Properly rated. Maybe this question was asked before he missed the that's potential game-winning shot.
Yeah.
In game 4. Sorry we didn't get your question. Anyways, if you have a question you want submitted or you want answered on air, the only way to get it submitted and answered is by becoming a Patreon supporter. Do that at patreon.com/Fastbreak Breakfast. You can also join our Slack chat where we talk about stuff around the clock, where we might share links to things that aren't, readily available otherwise, where we give our true unfiltered opinions on numerous topics not fit for broadcast. So if you want to support our show, get involved with our listener community, want to play in our mini fantasy games, we're doing our Stone Cold Locks playoff challenge right now. If you want to do any of that stuff and support us, do it at patreon.com/Fastbreak Breakfast. It's now time for the awards segment of the program. The International Stackhouse of Pancakes Award, given each week to the worst performance in a box score. We got just a couple
smattering.
Yeah,
I actually looked and didn't see a lot of humdingers this past week.
We got a smattering of honorable mentions. I will throw in a Jaren Jackson Jr. 3 for 12, a DeMarcus Sabonis 3 for 12.
Poor Boner's second half in Game 7.
We got a LeBron James 5 for 17, a De'Aaron Fox 5 for 19. Here are our nominees for the worst box score the last week, and we actually have 4 nominees, which I know is not preferred, but here's the situation. We have 2 3 for 15s and a 3 for 16. Now, it's highly irregular to take a 3 for 15 when a 3 for 16 is sitting out there.
What?
But I think the 3 for 16 game is much better.
What?
Then the 3 for 15 games. So I'll include them all, John, and you can help me sift through them. Here are our nominees as they occurred throughout the last week. Dillon Brooks, in a Game 5 blowout victory, Dillon was 3 for 15, 8 points, 2 rebounds, no assists, no steals, no blocks, 1 turnover, 4 personal fouls.
Woo!
Ja Morant, in a Game 6 loss, 3 for
sucks.
16, 10 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds, 3 steals, 2 turnovers, 2 personal fouls. Klay Thompson, in a Game 7 blowout win, 4 for 19. He had 16 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, no blocks, no steals, 2 turnovers, 2 personal fouls. And then Jamal Murray, in a Game 2 victory.
He had this for a while.
3 for 15, 10 points, 8 assists, 4 rebounds, 0 steals, 0 blocks, 3 turnovers, 0 personal fouls. Perhaps try.
He was 1 for 10 for a long stretch there.
So we have.
I think this is Murray and Dillon.
So we have Dillon 3 for 15, but we're not 8 points and nothing. I
think it's Dillon, man.
I think it is Dillon. But anyway,
nothing.
So
he gave us nothing.
3 for 15, 8 points and nothing. Ja Morant 3 for 16, 10 points, 6 assists, 5 boards, 3 steals. Klay Thompson 4 for 19, 16 points. Jamal Murray 3 for 15, 10 points, 8 assists.
The 8 assists
Dillon
just typified. He did the damn thing. What a way to go out.
I think it's Dillon or Klay. I mean, a 4 for 19, you expect a 4 for 20 from Klay.
Yeah. That would have put him in another era.
Would have put him in another.
On this kudos to him one last time.
Congratulations, Dillon Brooks, on winning this week's International Stackhouse of Pancakes Award. And now, John, it's time for the Kudos to Me segment named after Dillon Brooks. We have yet another listener question. David Smith wants to know, is it time to retire the Kudos to Me segment for an, quote, under any circumstances segment?
I think I might like under any circumstances even more.
What would that segment even be? Will we come up with hypothetical situations?
I think it's where you are forced to make the most grandiose, grandiloquent statement of all time. Yeah. It's pretty
I'm not prepared. It's a good question. We will take it under advisement. When we have our Board of Governors meeting next month, we will, I think, go through that great rule change idea. But we're going to stick with Kudos to Me for this week. And John, in honor of Dillon Brooks saying he started passing more kudos to me, what would you like to kudos to me yourself for?
I think you know. It's the greatest kudos.
Didn't you do it last week? Yeah, I felt like you did it last week. That you were right about Dillon.
I'm taking one more lap.
One more victory lap. All right. Well, here's
when you win one argument and 9 years of podcasting, you gotta take the L. Gotta take the W.
Here's my kudos to me.
Holding too many L's.
I mean, I perhaps could take a kudos to me for the Grizzlies GM apologizing for tripling down on youth.
And you know, yeah, I mean, that was kudos to him.
Whoopsie daisy.
He didn't have to say tripling down on youth.
He did it. Here's my kudos to me. Earlier this year, the Lakers were 2-8. Actually, they ended up being 2-10 at one point. But when the Lakers were 2-8 early in the season, there was reports that they would be open to any kind of trade. I pitched the idea of the Grizzlies trading for Anthony Davis, and I was screamed at. I was yelled at.
Kudos to you. He looks unbelievable.
Anthony Davis is the top 3 player in the playoffs right now? I mean, it's him, Jimmy Butler, Steph. Is he one?
Jimmy Butler.
Jimmy Butler's up there.
Anthony Davis.
But Jimmy Butler's missed a game, so that kind of sways it a little bit.
So arguably the best player in the playoffs. And also stuff that you can't always put on the stat sheet, because in his bad game against us, completely sunned us on defense.
Did Steve Kerr take a shot at the Grizzlies with this quote?
Yes.
Did you see this?
Yes.
They were like, how are you going to handle Anthony Davis?
That's a Taylor Jenkins. That's a Taylor Jenkins shots fired moment.
Steve Kerr says, quote,
gonna drive right at him.
Hopefully we're not just trying to dribble in and shoot layups over AD in the first 5 minutes. which was notably what the Grizzlies did in game 1 of the series. It was like, why is every single player trying to take Anthony Davis one-on-one? Steve Kerr,
it's like we were like, he's
fired.
soft. Like, time to expose him.
Dude, called us out. Anthony Davis.
I know you're not a TNT guy or inside the NBA guy.
Yeah, I don't watch a lot of it.
Shaq repeatedly insisting that AD is a finesse player and should not try to use his size and strength so much while he's using his size and strength to utterly dominate the playoffs has been a highlight.
I mean, has Shaq ever had a 7-game span in his playoff career where he averaged over 20 points per game, 15 rebounds per game, 4 blocks per game, and 1 steal per game?
Probably.
The answer is no.
Really? Wow.
Here are the players all time to do what Anthony Davis has done statistically in the last 7 games, which is average over 20 points per game, over 15 rebounds per game, 4 blocks per game, and 1 steal per game.
Hakeem
Olajuwon and Tim Duncan. End of list.
It. Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Of course, we didn't do steals and blocks back when it was Wilt and Bill Russell, as I assume everyone knows. But yeah, AD has been incredible in this postseason. And I was like, what if we send Tyus Jones, Zaire Williams, Dillon Brooks, and 3 first-round picks? I think the Lakers might do it. I was yelled at.
My Dillon Brooks schadenfreude as such that it overcame the power in home.
Yeah, so I thought you were speechless with my last comment about being yelled at over Anthony Davis. No, the power went out in the monolith, the Burr home, the Johnolith. John, let's wrap this up with the par fadeaway. What thing are you looking forward to in the coming week?
As much as I make fun of Joel Embiid's MVP campaign, I am extremely excited for like the pro wrestling level. Here comes Joel with a chair return to that series. I think that the game 1, them winning without Joel, really could mean something. This wasn't a series I believe they could win until that happened. So I'm really excited for that series and a lot of the series. I mean, as angry as I am about the results of Lakers Warriors, you were right. And that's a really fun series and the culmination of a lot of things that happened over the course of the season. And it's kind of, to me, kind of will help close out like an era in the NBA in a weird way. So I think this is something we need to see. We need to experience.
I think all of those storylines are so good. I mean, Embiid is expected back for game 2 on Wednesday night. By the way, Sam Hinkie is doing
the MVP award, and he yells, "I'm back" to his teammates. That's really awesome.
Sam Hinkie is doing victory laps on social media for the Embiid. How
about those other 3?
Yeah. And then all the other series. I mean, this Lakers Warriors is great. Suns Nuggets. I think the Suns will bounce back. We get to see Devin Booker and Kevin Durant make their mark, I think, in this postseason. And then Knicks Heat, like you said, is very, very fun. But here's the deeper thing I'm looking forward to. Which player will be the next one to grab their junk and roll around on the ground, hoping for the next ejection? Now that the NBA has made accidental nut shots and ejection worthy, we're getting more and more of them. Every game, somebody goes down.
With the Grizzlies gone and Chris Paul gone, the number's going to go down a lot, I think. But I'll say Marcus Smart.
Oh, Marcus Smart, who had a whale of an ending in game
Marcus
1.
Smart and Brogdon combining for 2 of the most insane last-second plays you'll ever see.
Yeah. Well, anyways, thanks you guys for listening to our show. If you're in the Memphis Grizzlies area, if you're in the Memphis area, tip off your summer with Grizzlies youth basketball camps. You can register your child ages 6 to 13 for a 1 or 4 day session. There are 10 plus camps throughout the Mid-South, so there's sure to be one near you. All campers will receive skilled basketball instruction, a camp shirt, a drawstring bag, and Grizzlies branded basketball. Space is limited, so sign up today at memgrizyouth.com. If you want to support our show, do that at patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow on Twitter at fastbreakbreak. Follow John at Master John Burr. You guys are the best. Thanks for listening. And remember, breakfast is the most important thing.
I will remember